بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. طلابنا الأعزاء, today we'll start to demonstrate the steps of construction of Adam's clasp. As we know, Adam's clasp is the most commonly used retentive component in orthodontic removable appliance. We need first steady cast and Adam plier, permanent marker, pencil, and a piece of hard stainless steel which is about 0.7 millimeter. Before start to construct the Adam's clasp, we should take the steady cast and do a trimming all around the gingival line, especially at the corner, in mesial corner and in the distal corner. These two areas to engage the arrowheads of the Adam's clasp. Then we start to draw these two vertical lines. The first one starts from the cusp tip of the mesiobuccal cusp and pass downward, reach to the cemento-enamel junction. And the second line starts from the tip of the distal buccal cusp and pass downward to reach to the cemento-enamel junction. And also we draw the buccal developmental groove. The end of this buccal developmental groove, we draw this horizontal line which represent the width of the bridge of the Adam's clasp. Adam's clasp composed from bridge, two arrowheads and occlusal part and two retentive tags. After that, we take this piece of wire and mark it near the middle part of the wire and then start to make or construct a right angle. This right angle, we take the wire and then determine the width of the bridge of Adam's clasp from the cast. This is the first point which represents the first right angle, and then this is the second point. This distance represents the width of the bridge of Adam's clasp. After that, we continue to bend the wire and forming a second right angle, and we catch the wire before the point that we determine it. Then we end with this shape of the wire, two right angle and two parallel arms. Then we minimize these two right angles. Before we minimize it, we should determine the height of the bridge. We can put the wire like here or like that to determine the height, but it is easy to upside down the wire and record the height of the bridge. We should record these 2 points, and these 2 points should be symmetrical. These 2 points represent the height of the bridge. Then we do right angle from this point. We catch the wire before the point and make a right angle. We end with this stage and then start construction of the angles represented by angle A, B, and C. After that, we should make the arrowheads. We put the wire like that. This between the this part between the peaks of the plier, and the other part supported on the slope of the peak. And then we continue to make the U-loop or the arrowhead. We change to the other part, and also we catch it before the point and continue to make the U-loop. We can see here in the cast the measurements of the wire. It is correct. Then we make a 45-degree to the arrowhead in one side, and on the other side also. Give these two arrowheads a 45-degree with the bridge of the Adam's clasp, as we can see here. And then we try it on the cast. We can see that these two arrowheads engage the available undercut area on the medial and on the distal part of the tooth. From this point, we can start to construct a point or angle A, which is located halfway from the bridge height. Also on this side, we can mark the wire halfway the height of the bridge. This is the position of angle A. Then we catch the wire in this manner. We put this point or this arrowhead between the peaks of the plier, and the other part is supported on the slope of the other peak. Then we do 2 steps of wire bending. This represents the medial wire. The first step to bend the wire toward the cast and then change it toward the medial side. We do a trial bend and we check it on the cast. Other side also we put it here between the peak of the plier and the other part supported on the slope of the second peak, and then start to do our wire bending. The first step toward the cast and then change it toward the distal side. Try it on the steady cast. Check the angulation of the bridge toward the long axis of the tooth. The bridge should be 45 degrees to the long axis of the tooth. We can see from the occlusal part the bridge of Adam's clasp away from the buccal surface of the tooth about 2 millimeters. This gives an idea that the bridge of the Adam's clasp is about 45 degrees from the long axis of the tooth. Now start to construct angle B. We determine them here at the buccal point of the occlusal area in both sides of the mesial and distal, and the wire should be passed between the margins of the adjacent teeth. We cut the wire before the point and then do a trial bend. We check the wire direction. The mesial wire should be passed between the margins of the second premolar and the mesial margin of the first permanent molar. The distal wire should be passed between the distal margin of the first permanent molar and the mesial margin of the second permanent molar. The arrowhead should catch the cast, and these two wires should pass between the margins exactly. We need to decrease these two angles, I mean angles B. Now, after that, we determine the angle C, which represents the palatal point of the occlusal contact. We catch the wire before this point and then do a trial bend in both sides, on the mesial and on the distal side. Now, after that, we make steps in the palatal side to start to construct the retentive tag. We leave a distance about 3 millimeters or 2.5, and then do this step, as we can see here, and end the wire with the small L shape, which is perpendicular on the palatal mucosa to get enough room for the acrylic to embed below the wire. The mesial arm should be passed in a straight way, while the distal arm pass in a curved way. Also here we leave a distance to make the step, and after the step we curve the wire toward the mesial side and then end with this small L shape, which also perpendicular on the palatal mucosa to provide enough space for the acrylic to bed below it and provide enough retention of the wire inside the acrylic. Then we adapt the retentive arms very well to the cast. Here we finish our Adam's clasp. We can see it from the cross section. We can see the bridge. It is about 45 from the long axis of the tooth. From the occlusal view, the bridge of the Adam's clasp should be away from the buccal segment, about 2 mm. We can see the adaptation of the retentive tags and the small end of the retentive tags. The arrowheads engage the available undercut area on the mesial and distal corner of the tooth. This is the Adam's clasp. في أمان الله.